Hello, this is Rocco from Unmute.pro. In this video we're going to talk about the circle of fifths. The circle of fifths is quite useful to remember the number of sharps and flats that belong to each key. The principle is very simple, and the reason why it's called the circle of fifths is that you add a sharp to a key every time you go up a fifth, and you add a flat or remove a sharp every time you go down a fifth. So let's start by drawing a circle. Let's divide it in 12 parts, which would be the 12 semitones that you have in every octave. Let's talk about major keys first. At midnight, on the top, we're going to put the key that has 0 sharps and 0 flats, which would be C major. Now, when we go up a fifth, we're going to have additional sharps every single time. So C, D, E, F, G, a fifth up, is the key that has 1 sharp. If you keep going up, G, A, B, C, D, and so on. You keep going fifth by fifth. So we have A, we have E, we have B, we have S sharp, we have C sharp. Great. If we apply the same principle to the opposite direction, so we go down a fifth, you add 1 flat to your key. So if we go down a fifth from C, we get to F, 1 flat, and then a fifth again, B flat, because obviously F has a B flat in its key. So every time you go down a fifth, you have to remember to add the flats that belong to the previous key. So F, E, D, C, B flat, because F has a B flat. And you keep going like this. G flat and C flat. Brilliant. Now, after a while that you do this, you remember most of them anyway. But it's very useful to know that when you go up a fifth, you add a sharp, and you go down a fifth, you add a flat. There are some interesting things about the circle of fifths that might help you remembering how it goes. For example, C and F sharp are opposite. And if you look at an octave on the piano from C to C, the note that is exactly in the middle, that's the F sharp. So remembering that F sharp is in the middle will help you. So 6 sharps or 6 flats if you think of G flat instead. Another useful characteristic about this is that E flat and E and A flat and A are opposite. Another thing that you can keep in mind is that C sharp has 7 sharps and C flat has 7 flats. So C has 0, C sharp has 7 sharps, C flat has 7 flats. Now have a look at this. F major has 1 flat and F sharp has 6 sharps. Then B flat has 2 flats and B natural has 5. E flat has 3 flats and E natural has 4 sharps. And you will notice that the sum of these numbers is always 7. So 1 flat, 6 sharps, 2 flats, 5 sharps, and so on. The sum is always 7, like the number of notes that you have in a scale. Now, if you combine all those things together, it's going to be easier to remember some of it. Let's now talk about minor keys. A relative minor, compared to the major, is the key that has the same number of flats and sharps in their key signature. So are keys that have the same key signature. The most practical way to find your relative major or minor is to remember that major and minor are 3 semitones apart from each other. When you're going from the major to the minor key, you go down 3 semitones. When you're going from the minor to the major, you go up 3 semitones. So try to think of major keys as higher and minor keys as lower, so that you can remember that the 3 semitones down is going from major to minor, and from minor to major is 3 semitones up. So let's apply this to the keys that we know. For example, C major, we go down 3 semitones, which would be B, B flat, A minor. Conversely, if you want to go from A minor and you want to find the relative major, you go up 3 semitones. So A, B flat, B natural, C. Let's apply it to any other one. If we want to go from A sharp major, we go down a semitone, another semitone, and another semitone, and we'll find that it's a D sharp minor. In the case of C major, for example, the relative minor is A minor. A minor has 0 flats and 0 sharps, exactly like C major. Once you establish this, because going up and down a fifth will add a sharp or a flat, the same thing can be applied to the minor keys. So there's few ways to go about this. If you want to go up a fifth this way, you can think A, B, C, D, E, E minor. Or you can also go G minus 3 semitones, G, F sharp, F, E. It's entirely up to you, whichever you prefer. If you keep applying the same process to the whole circle of fifths, you can build all of it also on the minor side. So F sharp minor, C sharp minor, G sharp minor, D sharp minor, and then we get to A sharp minor. Brilliant. Let's do also the flat side. D minor, 1 flat, G minor, 2 flats, C minor, 3 flats, F minor, 4, then B flat minor, E flat minor, and then we have A flat minor. Once again, you will notice that A minor has 0 sharps and 0 flats, A sharp has 7 sharps, and A flat has 7 flats. Let's have a look at what we call the enharmonic keys. Enharmonic means sounds the same but is written differently. Like in this case here, let's take this as an example. C sharp and D flat sound exactly the same on a piano. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two because they are essentially exactly the same thing. They're just written differently. It might be confusing at first, but there is a correct way of writing it and a non-correct one. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes if in a score you have a C sharp, you cannot change it to D flat. It would be different. It would be very similar to writing in English using PH or F. One way is correct and the other is not, depending on the word, even though they sound exactly the same. Let's have a look at the other ones. They all sit at the bottom of our circle of fifths. And C sharp and D flat. So 7 sharps and 5 flats. And then 6 sharps and 6 flats. And then we have 5 sharps and 7 flats. The same process applies obviously to the minor, where we have the A flat minor, G sharp minor, E flat minor, D sharp minor, B flat minor, and A sharp minor. Now, in principle, if you're trying to find the right key to compose, try to stay away from those keys. If you decide to modulate, you might end up using them anyway, but in general, try to avoid writing scores that are really hard to read. So when you start a composition, depending on the style of music, try to stay on the top part of your circle of fifths, just to avoid complications. It doesn't make any difference to you, and your players are going to have a much better time reading a key signature that is not giving them a headache. You might not need to learn the circle of fifths by heart at this stage, but you will see that if you use it long enough, it's going to be part of your daily music life. For sure, understanding how it works will definitely help you understanding how to navigate it and how to use it in your composition.